Next one to go up. Gonna go up. All right, guys, let's get started here. Hope you're doing well. Okay. If you have questions, put them in the chat. If you have stocks you want me to take a look at, put those in the chat. Let's go over what we're looking at here. So let's check the futures first. So we opened up flat, down 251, down about 10 points, filling the gap as expected. Tomorrow we might have a quiet day, see what happens. We need to pay attention to tomorrow if we end up having a strong rebound or we end up flat. Okay. Um, we spend a few days below the 21 EMA, then this moving average cross, then we're going to have to sit on cash and not look to trade anything to the long side until SPY fixes its uptrend. But right now, seems to be okay. Um, okay. So as for SPY, we broke that key level that I was telling you guys about at 635, broke down, gap down to the 21 EMA, closed below it on big volume. You can see increasing volume on this sell-off. So that's something we have to be aware of. We didn't close very strong. If we look at the 30-minute time frame, you can see we're making lower lows and uh, lower highs. So it's probably more obvious in ES. Yeah, you can see here we made a lower low, lower high. We got this clear downtrend going on. Okay. So uh, for SPY, what we're looking at is that I think tomorrow we might see a pretty boring day. And then after that, we might start to get some movement. But as for SPY, really, really simple. Okay. So momentum on the higher time frame is still moving higher, but we have this big seller volume candle on the weekly. So we have to be cautious here. And personal opinion, anything that's tech related, that moves with the market, you are not going to want to go long. That's my opinion until we get back above this 21 EMA. Okay. So when we get back above that, or if we have, and we have momentum shift, that's a pretty good sign that we may see continuation to the upside or at least stabilize. Um, Tomorrow, if we close below the 21 EMA, I'll probably look for if we break 620 on some volume, then I would look for a short. This would be a pretty short-term trade, looking for a move to this right here, which is the weekly 9. So That would bring us to about 613-ish. And then if we break down from there, we're probably headed to 600. Okay. 600 might take a little more time to develop, but that's what I'm looking for here. Okay. So just keep an eye on that. 620 is the key level here. And so below here, we have to be bearish. Above here, we can be more focused on the long side. But we have to, right now, the only thing is that we kind of we're neutral at this point here. So, like, good way to put it, this is a yellow bullish, which means it's mostly neutral, leaning towards bullish. So we're like, the yellow color means like a neutral bullish, right? So we're skewed towards bullish, but I'm not interested as long as we stay below that 21 EMA. If we get back above, then I'll be more interested. Um, and we can go short if we break below 620. Okay. Uh, Especially if we have some volume here. Then from there, we want to take a look at, I'm not going to go over the cues. It's the same thing pretty much, just the levels a little bit different. We do have a support level here, and we are kind of further away from the uh, weekly 9. Uh, Similar stuff here, SMH, all that stuff. Nothing too notable besides SMH is showing some relative strength. Um, well, we can see here that we haven't even pulled back to the 9 EMA on NVIDIA. Similar story for Microsoft. We have not pulled back to the 9 yet, the daily 9. Okay, let alone the 21. We had the gap up and we've been filling it. So this is likely what we're seeing here a lot between Microsoft and Apple and what was the other one? Meta. Meta, not as much so just yet, but at the moment, we're seeing a lot of gap fills happening, earnings gap ups and gap fills. Usually that's not a good sign that we're going to see continuation. Usually you want to see those gaps hold and these earnings trades continuing to the upside. Okay. And we're not seeing that. So that's kind of a bearish sign. I am personally thinking we're going to break 620, but I'm not going to try and be premature. And I'm just looking for, okay, if we do break 620, we have to look for a little bit more downside. And then and this 600 may likely need to be retested. So we'll see. Um 620 will open the door at least to here, which from there will open the door potentially even further. Okay. So then from there we continue through. Another thing to pay attention to, Bitcoin has lost its momentum on the weekly squeeze here. So we bought this back in here. This trade is now over. We lost momentum. We got the 1 bar momentum loss on the weekly time frame. So this is risk off at or an indication of risk on assets. So the fact that this is kind of losing momentum is telling us that we might be headed toward a more risk-off environment. And there's a few things that are telling me that too. So a lot of the stocks that are setting up right now are like home builders, um, and let's see, like AT&T. We've got weekly buys on this one. Um, that one, we have gold setting up. We have consumer staples like Kroger setting up. We have healthcare stocks setting up. Like BSX, ABBV. A lot of these are are safety, like flights to safety type names. So that's kind of a red flag as well, that those are the ones that are setting up right now. Typically, you'll see movements towards like gold and metals, consumer staples very often, uh, utilities, which we're seeing and have been seeing, and then like AT&T, those type stocks like Verizon. I don't think Verizon looks very good, but it looks fine. Verizon, T-Mobile. I don't know how that one looks. Yeah, all of these are holding up pretty decently. And I think that's because of basically what we're seeing here. So, like, we're seeing kind of rotation into safety. You're going to see it in healthcare, so on and so forth. So, those are kind of the names that are setting up. So, with that in mind, like Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is likely done for a while. I don't think we're going to see any explosive moves here in the next few weeks from Bitcoin. I think that this rally is kind of over for the time being, and it's going to reset and maybe do something similar to what we've been seeing, sideways to down consolidation, and then another leg higher, sideways to down consolidation, followed by buy signals that leads to another leg higher. It's kind of what this thing does. So yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that. But for now, it's off the radar in terms of wanting to trade it. Semiconductors have been holding up well. You can see here, AVGO, NVIDIA, both just pulling back to their moving averages and completely holding up. Um, I don't think we're going to see, like, if these start to break down, that will be a big warning sign for the overall markets. If semis start to break down, because those are the ones that have been leading the markets. Soxel already has started to kind of break down. It's at its weekly moving averages. So we want to make sure we're setting alerts on these ones just so we can have context. So like when we're looking at this, if you're looking at the setup here, if SPY, for example, SPY starts breaking 620 and you see NVIDIA breaking 170 or the 21 EMA, you see AVGO breaking down, breaking its 21 EMA, that will be a pretty bearish confluences that will probably continue downside. So right now we're just playing a game with SPY of over under levels of the 21 EMA and the 620 level. Okay. And I'm not talking like end of the world stuff, like the market's gonna crash. No, we just we haven't pulled back. We've came so far and we haven't pulled back to the weekly 9 and we haven't pulled back to the weekly 21. So that happens often. Like if you see here during this bullish run, we had all through this bullish run, you can see here we come down, we pull back to the weekly 21, come up, pull back to the weekly 21, come up, pull back to the weekly 21. Then we just came to the 9 here, we came to the 21 here, and then we came down to the 21 here, and then we broke through, came back, revisited it, broke down, got back above it. Now it's time. We're likely going to go retest it. That's it. Okay. So with this in mind, so there's two different ideas that we're kind of playing here, right? So the main one I want to stick with is if we break that 620, we can reevaluate because right now nothing's really setting up because the whole market's pulled back. When we start to see some buying, we see a reclaim of the 21 EMA. If that happens this week, then we'll start to see some bullish setups emerge. Right now, what we're gonna, or if we see a breakdown of 620, first thing I'm gonna want to do is probably look to short SPY, but the next thing I'll probably want to look to do is short Tesla. Okay, this one I think is probably going to be one of the first ones to break down, and as soon as it does, it's going to be pretty rapid fire to the downside, in my opinion. Um, I think as long as we stay below like this 320-ish level, we in the all these moving averages here, I think we're probably going to see a pretty nice downside move, at least into 230 or 273. If we break 300, I think we're going to see some repricing in this stock and it's going to have a pretty accelerated move to the downside, at least to 273. Okay, so or this low essentially. You can see this pattern's tightening up. We're printing lower highs. We were creating higher lows, but now you can see here we're breaking this higher low. So that's kind of a shift in structure, and it lines up with a key psychological level of 300. And when we look at the volume context, you can see here each time we came down to visit 300, we saw a big volume coming in. Okay, all through here. Then here we saw a big volume coming in, and through here we saw a big volume coming in, And then you can see the low volume rally. And then we come down and you can see we came down to 300 again. We had strong volume on the bounce. And now you can see we're retracing and then we touch 300 and have not seen high volume on this. So if we get a high volume break to the downside, I'll definitely be bearish on this for a move to the downside. Okay, so that's what I'm kind of looking for. If we can break through there, that's a pretty bearish sign. If we break on that move to the downside, okay? Um, Tesla is the main one that I'd be looking to short. Another thing that you want to pay attention to is Amazon. You can see the huge volume we had come in on Friday. So this is within the consumer discretionary. I don't necessarily have a setup to short this, but it's one of the top holdings in XLY, which is the second top holding is Tesla. Okay. Tesla has been relatively weak. It's off 38% off of its highs, and you can see SPY is off 3%. Okay. So that just puts it into context. So Tesla would be the main one that I'd be looking to short. And then Apple, I don't think the first test of 200, I don't think you want to short it. But if we get some sort of sideways action around 200 and we get a volume break, I think this would be the next one you want to short. Okay. You can see here we rejected 215 over and over again. We've got this range that we've been printing. Got a little bit of support here down at 195. But if you look at this, you can see here when we zoom out, not a lot of support until 170, but also we look at the weekly time frame, we've got a weekly squeeze, okay, with a high volume seller candle, bearish engulfing, breaking this little range. So this one below 200, we've got a weekly squeeze here. We don't quite have a signal yet, but this one looks like a short. What was the revenue growth from? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this would be the other one that I'd be looking to short. Okay. As for long trades, that's not within the main basket, right? We've got some weekly charts that look pretty good. So T-Mobile, I brought you guys this one last week. This one, I gave you an entry right around the 9 on this, and it should be you guys should be up like 10 or 15% right now. So this one looks great. I like this shakeout that we had right here on high volume, the reclaim, and that's a strong looking candle. And I think with 30 right above ahead, we'll probably go revisit that. Another one is gold. So you can trade this through IAU. You can trade this through GC. You can trade this through gold, GLD. But this one I think looks great for upside. So we can look at the futures chart. Yeah, I think this one looks great for a move to the upside. We have this nice high type flag, and I think we could see a nice move. Monthly, still rocking and rolling. Momentum continuing to the upside. We're about one, two, three. We are getting pretty extended on this. So we are, let's see, one, two, we're about third base in. So this would be kind of one that you trade for a move into the high and you take profit and then leave a few runners. But this one looks great. KR, this one had a really nice shakeout or last week, pull back to the 21 EMA and has earnings coming up. So this one looks pretty good to the upside for a breakout. BSX, I know you guys have bet on this one. This one looks great to the upside. I think as long as you give yourself enough time, I think the November 120 calls look good here for a breakout. Um, with a price target, we can hit around 115-ish. I think this one looks great for a breakout to the upside. You can see we're continuing to build higher lows, tighten up. So I think we will see a breakout to the upside. So uh, EA, I don't know why this stock has woken up recently, but you can see here we broke the highs here. We've taken out these highs from the previous all-time highs. And now we're seeing a consolidation pattern above those previous all-time highs in the key psychological level of 150. So I think we can see a breakout into new all-time highs on this one back to 170. It's not the best entry right here, so a little bit of a pullback would make sense. But this one looks really great to trade this one on the upside. You can see from the swing high to swing low, the 786 is acting as key resistance. So once we break that, once we break 160, this thing should be off to the races. So that one looks good as well. Um, home builders, this one's interesting. Um, you can see we're starting to kind of stage some sort of reversal here. And yeah, this one, ITB. This one looks good as well. Kind of all the same thing, but home builders, this one looks like it's trying to break out of this range that it's been in since March of this year. And then we could see a pretty good upside move on this one on a retracement. ABBV, so this one I think looks really good. You can see we had a positive earnings report. We had high volume buying. So we had high volume selling in through here, but we had high buying come in right here. And then you can see here we've tightened up on low volume. And then we've seen some buyers stepping in here with some buy signals. And so yeah, I'm looking for this one to continue to the upside and break 200. So this one, biotech, a little more tough to trade. If you're looking for the top ones here, I'd be paying attention to uh, T-Mobile, ABBV, or sorry, T-Mobile, Gold, BSX. Those are the ones I'd be paying attention to. And then another one I had on my list was Roku. So that one, looking at Roku. So here. We're in this huge stage one base, but once we break 100, we should see a pretty nice move on this. So let's make sure to add an alert there. But if we look at the daily time frame, you can see here some big seller volume coming in after the earnings report. Let's take a look. So I had a pretty big beat on earnings. Revenue is up, revenue's increasing. Okay, well they had a pretty good earnings report, but big gap down, 15%. We're at this psych level of around 80. So if we can break 80 to the downside, we break that weekly 21. We don't have too much support until we head down to about 70. So that's another one. If the market looks rough, then you can look to short this one. That one and Tesla are kind of the ones that you want to keep your eye on for shorts, and then Apple. So that's kind of my main watch list. Do you guys have any questions, any charts you want me to take a look at? Because that's the main stuff I'm watching. I think top priority is SPY, and then you've got these other ones where they're longer term ideas that we can trade to the upside or downside. Any questions? Are we good? XRP. So this one's bouncing off the uh weekly 9. So it looks okay. Weekly squeeze is still firing, so it might have a strong recovery. This one's kind of just all over the place. So we had a nice trade in through here. We bought it here, and then sold most right here, right around here, near near the highs, and then or not near the highs, near the previous highs here. And then we're still holding about half. So you can cash out of this one if you want. Or you can wait for the momentum to fade on this. Right now, I'd wait for us to reclaim the 21 EMA, get back above that, maybe wait for the momentum to slingshot, and then you can start looking for more upside on this one. But it's all going to be dictated by kind of Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, this one's having a bounce as well. But if Bitcoin doesn't clean up and reverse, then I don't think that XRP is going to have some crazy move. So, yep. Any other questions? Any other charts you want me to take a look at? All right, then. Oh, man, my throat. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming. If you have questions, just message me in the chat and I can take a look at it. But I will see you guys for the markets tomorrow.